Guys, welcome back for another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. And today, me and Liam are going to discuss whether we think Directive 8020 is going to be coming out this year, and then we're going to get into some of your comments because we did put a poll out a couple of months ago. So, mate, I'll throw the mic over to you. What are your impressions? Do you think that it will come out later this year?
I do not. I think just leave it there. That's my answer. No.
We're the optimist.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a massive pessimist. Now, I honestly think that they're gonna take their time with this one. I feel like they're gonna have a year off. They've given us Switchback this year, I guess. I know it's not the same, but I think they're really gonna have a break, and then they're gonna get into Season 2, 2024 onwards. I think as well, having a break is a little bit healthy to kind of give us that differentiation between Season 1 and Season 2. If we have time away, it's going to drum up that hype for Season 2 that much more. But yeah, I don't know. I could just see them taking a year off. How about yourself, mate?
Honestly, I completely agree, mate. I feel like because of the survey as well, between seasons, it just makes sense. There's a natural break point for them to gather some information, see what the fans think, and implement it into the game. I'll say this: if they come back, a couple of weeks' time and said Directive 8020 is coming out this year, I'm going to think brilliant. It's sort of that final quarter game that we can all look forward to and stuff. But at the same time, I sort of look, perhaps it is the more sensible option for them to take their time to go through, refine things a little bit, because I do think The Devil in Me is the best one that they've done so far. But it did have its criticisms as well, especially sort of in the whole glitches area. So, yeah, I do think it will be a 2024 release. But having said that, look, I wouldn't be against it if it was later on this year. So, we can obviously go over to what the fans think now, who clearly, mate, are a lot more optimistic than us. Because in the question being, has the release of the Dark Pictures survey regarding Season 2 basically confirmed that Supermassive Games will not release Directive 8020 this year? 62% said no to that, so they're basically saying, you know what, I think that we could get a game this year. So, mate, shall we crack on with some of the comments?
Yeah, of course. I'll kick off with Stacey's mum. I'm conflicted because I just want a new game to play soon, but I also want them to take their time. I mean, that is the sentiment, right? Stacey's mum, like we say, we'd love to have a game soon, but we know what happens if you know Telltale very well. You know what happens if you rush games. It can run your company into the ground, and I would not want that for Supermassive Games at all. So I agree. I want them to really take their time with it.
Okay, so King of Drake says 50-50, I'd say. Wish they'd just say if it will be released this year or not yet. Maybe we'll get some word after Switchback. I've got to admit, I completely get what you mean. I'd love to know either way if it was going to be this year or next year. Of course, Switchback has been out for a couple of months now and we still haven't heard anything. They do usually release these games in October, November, so in May now. I feel like if it's gonna happen, it's got to be fairly soon, right, in order to sort of drum up some hype and anticipation for the game. So it's not out the question, but like I said before, I am leaning on the slightly more pessimistic side. But you know what, it doesn't matter. We're here, we content on Supermassive, we can fill the void. So yeah,
of course. We've got Gamer with an H saying, I feel like they will delay it as they made 2 games last year, so they may need a break after that. And it's completely what we're saying. We were really gifted last year. We got another blockbuster in The Quarry again, and we also got The Devil in Me, which, let's face it, guys, is 2 bangers. They must have put a lot of effort into those games. And we're all fans, right? We would love for a game to come out all the time, right? But it's just not realistic. And I think you have to think of it from a HR point of view. It's you don't want staff burning out. You don't want publishers to give them unrealistic deadlines. We really love Supermassive Games, right? We cherish them. And a big part of that, which I think people often overlook because they're just we want games, is you have to look after the staff members. And it's they need a break. They're probably working their socks off for the upcoming games, but they're nice and polished for us. So yeah, I think we just have to be patient with Supermassive Games, and I do completely understand what Game is saying, and I'm in total agreement with him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Exhibit A, look at what happened at Telltale when they tried juggling too much stuff. You don't want that sort of thing happening. But so we've got a comment here from Aidan Byrne who says, I'm hoping the next game comes out this year. These games are some of my favourite to play, and I put them up there with the likes of Telltale and Rockstar Games. Honestly, Aidan, snap. And I mean, another reason I would like to see it come out this year is, of course, we do have The Expanse around the corner, which is a space game. And I think it would just be interesting if we did have two space games to compare that are obviously choice-based as well, within like a close proximity of one another, a close time span. I feel like that would be like a really good video to dive into and see. But time will tell.
So we've got a comment from our longtime fan and ally, Casey's Repository, who says, okay, they've not voted yet, but for them it's somewhere in the middle. They think it's delayed. It'll be around January, February time, which is still quite optimistic. I reckon it'll be early next year. It'd be cool if it was. But one thing that really intrigued me about this comment, Casey, is that one thing I'm hoping for is they release a demo like 4 to 6 months before it's out and give feedback on where it needs touching up for gameplay-wise. Now, I don't think we've had that with the Supermassive Games, really. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but imagine if they offered us like a little demo, like maybe the prologue is playable. We've seen IGN do it with The Quarry, where they released a video of the prologue. But imagine if they made like something like the prologue playable, and then we've got 6 months to drum up anticipation. And you know what, Casey? I actually don't think that's the worst idea in the world. It would give us time to analyse what we reckon the bulk of the main game's going to be. It wouldn't give too much away from the plot, from the characters that we're going to be playing as. So yeah, you could be onto something there, Casey. I think that's a really intriguing idea.
Because you think about it, they released the prologue anyway for us all to watch. So if they were to release the prologue for us all to play, in a way it sort of would work for them, because obviously, like you say, you can touch up the game a little bit, and of course the prologue is the point of the game where it's not necessarily going to hinder the story too much, but it also introduces the player rather to the game mechanics, the QTEs and such. So if there was potentially any problems with them, that could be flagged. So yeah, look, I'm completely open to it. Whether I would play it or not, I've got to admit I'm not sure, but I can see the logic there.
Yeah, because we did this video with Hidden Object Guru the other week, where we spoke about what could possibly be in the prologue, and I had this theory that it could be quite naval, the same as Man of Medan, where maybe it takes place on the SS Cassiopeia, as seen by the plaque in The Devil in Me. And I think that would just be really cool, just to get a little snippet of a naval prologue. And it's got nothing to do with the main game set on space. Maybe a few Easter eggs and a few hints as to what could happen. One thing tying it together. But it wouldn't overly spoil the game, but it would throw the fans a bone. And yeah, I'm really down for this idea. I wouldn't be mad if it didn't happen. But yeah, I'm completely keen and I'm completely sold.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, that was a little Directive 8020 update video for you. Again, thank you for all your comments that you shared with our poll that we put out a couple of months ago. Unless you've got anything to add, mate, we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you very much for joining, guys. We'll see you in the future.
Bye-bye for now.